welcome, dear friends. Welcome to yet another Laugh Index Theater comedy show. If you're like me, you've got half a Magnolia Bakery slice of just a whole slice of cake that you're gnawing on right now, as well as a very relaxing pilsner. Um, I hope you. Oh, we got Sharon. We got some
Hey,
old.
don't call her old.
We got some young people who are returning after many times who have been here before. Friends, I wish I could share this cake with you right now. If you have a favorite type of cake, drop it in the chat. I guess I will say, uh, oh yeah, for more info about shows and process, go to litcomedy.com. I mean, honestly, or give us your phone number because I feel like you all are such experts on lit comedy at this point. Thank you for it, that cake, Max. Has anyone seen this butt fight um, game that's blowing up on Twitter? It is a boxing game, but it's people fighting with their butts. I don't actually have a joke. I just wanted to tell you posting's funny because you kind of just start to think about the things that you were thinking about that day and say because people are still entering, right? And so I don't want to start a joke and then be in the middle of the joke when someone shows up. And so instead, I talk nonsense. I talk nonsense. That's what I do. That's what I'm here to do for all of you. I did want to share just an image. I've tried to become more mindful during the pandemic. I've been meditating. I've done all that stuff. I encourage you all to do it as well. This is a thought I haven't ever shared before, so we'll see how it comes out of my brain and through my mouth. But I was legitimately like very much getting into meditation, and I was like, this is really nice. I am appreciating the world more. I am much less critical and much less self-critical. But then I realized like this might be bad for comedy, right? Like criticism is sort of one of the tools of stand-up, and I was legitimately worried, and I still don't really know where I'm at with it. But at one point, I was listening to one of these meditations. I have the Calm app, which you look, it's $60 a year. I think anything that makes you pay annually is a racket, and I think it's kind of fucked up that they gave like month-long deals during the pandemic because they were like, wouldn't want anything to happen to that little sweet mind of yours. Like they were like Italian gangsters in the early 1900s. Did you like my Italian mobster accent? But I, she was this woman Tamara. She was like, you have to have the child's mind. The child sees an object on the table, and the child picks up the object. The child looks at the object. The child puts the object in the child's mouth. And I was like, oh no, that child just put a dildo in its mouth. And then she's like, the child realizes it's a spoon, but it's just an object. But my brain was really like, why? I don't know why my brain thought, and thank God Meg's not here because she would do a lot of very quick and very sniper-like unpacking of this. But I wasn't too worried anymore about whether my comedy brain could turn on. Good comedy, we don't know that yet. The other thing I'll say is I found an early pandemic mask the other day in the bottom of a drawer. Have you all had like we've all got like the primo masks now, and I found like a true like early panty face covering, and I was like, oh my god, like it was just it was making it reminded me of when I see a picture of me and my college girlfriend. I'm like, I see what I was into at the time, but if we were still together, I would literally be dead right now. I would literally be dead. And on that note, that's as good as we're gonna get this evening from me, because now we're going to the real comics, ladies and gentlemen. And first up, we have the wonderful, she'll never be dead, Caroline Hitler. Who knows?
Yay!
I absolutely love to hear that, Julian. Love being immortal. Hey everyone. Has anybody else been just really exhausted lately, just from existing? And by lately, I mean for your entire life up to this point. Me too. I feel like a Great Dane who just went on like a 5-minute walk, and now my energy for the day is completely depleted. because that's all I had. But I do, this is a comedy show. I'm the first one up. I have an activity to get us hyped up. Okay, we can do it together. So if anyone else in the audience also has clinical depression, I want you to do a big sigh with me on 1, 2, 3. Yes, yes, my sad little butterflies, you did it. Although I guess sad butterflies are just like technically moths. So yay, you did it, my sad little moths. So proud of you. Lately, well, I'm obviously missed my calling as a hype woman right there, as you can tell. Lately, I'm actually just trying to be a hype woman for my depression. So instead of like pretending that it doesn't exist, I'm just really embracing it. So, you know, when I go to the doctor, they try to give me another pill. I'm like, you know what? No, I'm not going to be a cog or a productive cog in your capitalist machine. I'm going to upend the social order by just like napping, and you can fucking deal with it. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm just going to nap, and that kind of shows my privilege because I am privileged enough to just take the opportunity to nap during the day and not lose my job. So that's great for me. Speaking of my privilege, I was going to talk about kind of a serious topic tonight, but then I had a change of heart and I want to talk about like a trendy buzzword I've heard going around. I know there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot going on in our country. But instead of talking about Liz Cheney, I'm going to be talking about the word cheugy. And you guys can laugh at that or cringe at that. It was a bad one. But if you don't know, cheugy is just kind of another word for basic. It's been floating around on TikTok, although apparently it's been around since like 2013. I feel like Meg would correct me on that if she were here. Anyways, but it kind of just means basic. And I actually have the perfect example right next to me. This was gifted to me a few years ago. And it says, whine a bit, you'll feel better. It's a wooden sign devoted to alcoholism. So that's pretty cheugy. So I mean, I've been meaning to get rid of that because I quit drinking, but now that I know it's cheugy, it's definitely going in the trash like tonight. So I get the concept. What I don't get is why millennials get so offended by it or like really up in arms. Like I know millennials are like, oh my God, they're saying that like side parts and skinny jeans are out of fashion. It's like, take a chill pill. Like we sit here and dunk on every other generation. Like it's not like our hands are clean here. And also, if fashions didn't change and like trends didn't go in and out of style and things became uncool, like us ladies would still be wearing heavy ass dresses that like drag through the fucking mud and like bonnets. We've come a long way. Although I would love to see somebody on TikTok try to convince us to like bring bonnets back. If you know any like cool teens who want to take that on as a project, would love to hear from them. But like my point is, I approve of cheugy. I approve on shitting on millennials. So much so that I have some of my own things to add to the cheug list. These are mostly things I see on Facebook, by the way, which is cheugy in itself. All right, 1. People posting a photo of their dog with like a bandana or a shirt or really like any apparel item that says, I'm going to be a big brother or sister in order to like announce that they're pregnant. Stop. Like it's creepy. They're a completely different species. I don't know what goes on in your house, but like bestiality isn't cool. 2 would be like photo dumping, also on Facebook. A lot of people my age still do this, where they'll compile all their photos from their iPhone from the past few months and put them in an album on Facebook like it's 2011. And it's like, we don't need to see 5 angles of your like fake candids from brunch. It's not that interesting. My third thing was like, and I'm sure you've seen this, mostly Christian girls do this. It's like using the word sweet to describe everyone and everything. Like again, you've seen this. Some girls like, oh my God, like we just had the sweetest baby shower for my sweet friend. And like, we're so excited to welcome sweet baby Jalen in July. Like, yay. I'm like, damn, is this like a cry for help? Like, say sweet 3 times if you're being held captive by the patriarchy. Just kidding. That's a trick question. We all are. But yeah, I feel like those people just kind of need like, you know how your English teacher in middle school would make you think of other adjectives besides good to like use in your essays? I feel like they just need like a stern English teacher watching over them when they make those posts. Or just, you know, thesaurus.com, but I don't know if their husbands let them know that that's a website. But yeah, like there are a few more things I can think of that are chuggy, like GChat, if that still exists. Not 100% sure. Reese Witherspoon's book club, and just like the concept of a soulmate, I think. Like, you get the point now. I've shown you the sign. And I appreciate you hanging in there with me on this. Full disclosure, I was dumped like about a week ago by a full-grown man who once wore a Disney's Magic Kingdom t-shirt on a date with me. And if you're following this trend at all, you know that Disney adults are the chuggiest thing to ever exist. So yeah, that's not 8 minutes, but that's all I got. Thank you, everyone.
Keep it going for Caroline Hibbert. And Caroline, I mean, Caroline, I don't want to. I don't want to litigate this too much, but just knowing about when you were talking about the beginning of the dating this person, this Disney T-shirt was like pretty early in a relation. You know, like it's not like this was like you had been dating for 2 years. This person must have worn this on the single-digit states.
Mm-hmm.
Disgusting.
And I was the one who was rejected.
It's hard out there, ladies and gentlemen. But what I really want to know is which of the Rosenthal brothers kicks the most ass? Because now I've seen a lot of their faces, and I have my guesses about who's the biggest ass kicker out of
in their prime or now.
I wanted to know both. Is it a very different answer? What was the last time you had a full Rosenbrawl? When was the last time someone?
You got to understand that the guy with the mustache is 10 years older than me, and the guy with the beard is 16 years to the month older than me. There wouldn't have been much of a brawl, but let's just put it that way.
Yeah, but now age is your advantage because you're younger. You gotta do it again.
That's why I asked the question. Now or then?
I do feel like for me, the guy with the mustache is my answer. That's who I'm picking. As picking no.
Well, that's okay. That's what he was thinking too.
You would beat your ass with the mustache.
Exactly.
I probably still don't stand a chance.
S tier Rosenthal.
I would love to watch. If you ever have the fight, let me know. Speaking of physical violence, I saw. Don't worry, this is not your introduction. I didn't see this, but my partner saw it. It was a car that was blasting "Before He Cheats" by Miranda Lambert, and everyone's singing along. Carrie Underwood. Sorry. Thank you, Paul. By Carrie Underwood. And what did they have on the car, Paul? They had a Blue Lives Matter sticker. Blue Lives Matter sticker while belting "Before He Cheats." Do we know what the problem is here? The problem is, where do you stand on property damage? Is there never an excuse? Or are you taking a Louisville Slugger to both headlights? Like, where do you stand on this? That's really what I need to know. I wish I could have been there because I would have chased them down and asked. But since I wasn't, Evie Demi is going to talk to all of you. Give it up for Evie.
Awesome. Love being talked into by a Carrie Underwood reference. I love it. That's beautiful. Thank you guys all for joining us. I've missed the last couple of shows, so I'm excited to be at this one. Um, I've been talking to a lot of my guy friends. We're just sort of nearing the tail end of the pandemic experience here. But I was talking to a lot of them, and they were saying that throughout the sort of pandemic, they were seeking sort of friends with benefits situations because they've been missing a woman's touch over this past year. And for me, I totally disagree. I've just been missing a woman's passive aggression. That's the one thing that I've been missing. The one thing I need in my life right now is just someone slowly and psychologically breaking me down until I realize I got to get my shit together. That's what I need. So I'm too depressed in any sense for like a friends with benefits thing. I've been starting to look for something that I'm creating. It's just called sex with benefits. And that's a similar process. I find a random stranger, I bring them home, we have sex. But then right afterwards, I walk them through like a major childhood trauma and I sort of get their opinions on how I should deal with it. Because when you think about it, it's like right after sex is when everything is just the most honest. Like everybody just emotions are pouring out. It's because before sex, men are like, baby, you're special. I think there's something here. Right after, we're like, I'm not really looking for a relationship right now. The honesty comes out. That's the moment when I need advice, basically. I did hear from a female, like I've always known that guys will make up any excuse to not commit to a woman. And recently I heard one that just totally blew my mind. I had a friend, she was seeing a guy for a very long time, like 6 months. He still wouldn't commit. She eventually had the talk with him and he said he could not commit to her, but because he was still very busy finding himself. That was the exact word that she used. I just want to let you guys know if any women in here have ever had a man say that they can't commit because they're finding themselves, he's already found himself, and it's inside a lot of other women. That's where he is. Just a news flash to everyone here. I've spent the majority of the pandemic working on building up a nice dad bod. It's a pretty good layer, mostly because my last girlfriend said I was immature, and I said I'll show her. I'll mature my body, not the mind, but the body will be mature. Um, I think it's depressing that I have a dad bod, but I don't have kids. To me, that's sort of like telling people I have tennis elbow, when in reality, I've just been masturbating a little bit too much recently. Like I'm not earning that the right way, you know. Conveniently enough, though, watching videos of Maria Sharapova helps with both of those, which is awesome. Just very, very convenient. Um, I moved to this country from Eastern Europe when I was very young, and just like any other immigrant, I had to work my way up the chain of command. My first job for a while was at a Subway sandwich shop. I was a sandwich artist, which is actually what they call us there. If anybody that's not aware, you are a sandwich artist. And I always thought that was really lame. I thought that was kind of weird. But then I realized, it dawned on me after a while that artists and Subway employees are two groups of people that are both very prone to suicide. So I think lost a lot of great talent on the sandwich line. I have spent a lot of time, being somebody who used to work in food service for a while. I spent a lot of time thinking about, how long or at what point of this pandemic are we going to go back to treating food service employees and delivery drivers, all these people, like crap again? And apparently it's during the pandemic when they asked to be paid a living wage. That was the kicker of like, nah, we're going to go back to treating you like shit again. I think that's the thing that I've realized in this country. There's two things as Americans we love. We love treating food service employees like crap, and we love not making cakes for gay people. It's sometimes they switch during election cycles, but it's 1 and 2 almost all the time. If I could also just for a moment say something about the whole gay pastry debate, just for a quick minute. It's one of the laziest arguments I've ever heard put together, because whenever I ask somebody that's on the other side of this, their whole argument is, I just think it's important for every individual to have the right to not acknowledge another individual's rights. It's lazy, it's half-assed put together. It's beginning, middle, and end of their debate. And I always love to press them further. I want them to quote the word of the Bible on the spot. Can you point me to the direction of which book of the Bible talks about homosexual pastry etiquette? I want to know. Can you just let me know what I can do with these scones? I need to know who I can sell them to. And every time anytime I ever put anybody that's biblical on the spot, they sort of quote the Bible like somebody that barely did the reading for a book report, and then they have to talk in front of the whole class. They're like, Yeah, well, in equestrians, 24, 13, gay before me, except after C. So that's why you can't make cakes for gay people. It just doesn't work. Clap, though. I hope there's some fans here of the minimum wage increase. Clap if you like increasing the minimum wage. Yeah, absolutely. And now clap if you want me to spit in your food the next time I see you. You got to choose. It's an easy choice. I don't know. I think for me, the funniest thing about the whole $15 an hour conversation is that, it's supposed to be a debate. Both sides should be doing a little give and take. And even going down to $15 an hour is a lot of give, because inflation shows it actually be more than that. But the other side, when they're coming back at it, they're just like, all right, we're not going to do 15, but what if we have our kids draw nice things on the sidewalk in chalk for you guys? Is that enough? Does that pay for health insurance? All right, if you're going to be assholes about it, we'll give you a standing ovation on our porches and we'll film it for a Capital One commercial. Does that work for you guys? Does that cover expenses? That's nothing. They're giving us nothing. I think it's weird that, because everybody wants to say that it's a new thing, it's a new debate, but Henry Ford has been championing, he championed dramatically raising the minimum wage in like the 1920s. He wanted to like triple it, quadruple it from what it was back then. And this was a guy, by the way, let's talk a little bit about Henry Ford. Huge anti-Semite, like loathed Jewish people, wrote terrible things in newspapers, actually called out by name in Hitler's Mein Kampf, which is like the Michelin star of anti-Semites. That's like you don't want to be called out in there. But even this raging anti-Semite looked at conditions in his factories and was like, we got to be more humane. This is great. We got to treat people like people, not the Jews, but the people. We got to take care of them. I just think if you can look at a raging anti-Semite and think he might have the moral high ground in this, you should really rethink your debate just a little bit. Just do some research. I do think companies do a lot of funny things to try to humanize themselves. And I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but Capital One banks have been slowly changing all their branches to Capital One cafes, like we wouldn't notice. Just serving coffee, and they're like, we're not monsters anymore. This is fine. But I think there's nothing, like, to me, there's nothing more American than having a location where you can get an iced latte and a predatory home loan at the same time. That's incredible. And you can just bend you over the table while you're signing the dotted line. You're just like, can I get just a little room for cream before I pay this obnoxious interest rate? Just like a tiny room. You monsters. Alrighty, I think I'll end on that. Thank you guys so much for your time. Appreciate it as always. Give it up for Julian.
Ladies and gentlemen, he always leaves a little room for cream. I feel like my picture is frozen, so I'm just gonna keep talking and moving until I can see you all moving again. It is possible that my internet is being wonky right now, in which case I'm going to stop my video and maybe, let's see, can we hear me now? Maybe, yeah, I think you can hear me now. There we go. Everyone's looking at me awkward and sideways as if they didn't know what was going on. I don't know what you could hear. I don't know what I said. Let's move on to Zach Kusan. Keep it going for Zach, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Julian. Happy to be here. Happy to be not frozen in the cyberspace of the internet, I suppose. So my name's Zach. It's a solid single syllable name for a white dude. That's Zach with an H. Z-A-C-K, that's way too close to the word sack for me. God forbid your fifth grade classmates make that connection, and then you are now nutsack Zach for the next 8 years. Congratulations. Also not a Z-A-C. Those guys, a little too shifty, if you ask me. Like, take Zac Efron, for example. How are we going to trust a guy who's just as comfortable playing the musically inclined teenage heartthrob as he is playing America's most charming serial killer? It's actually really hard for me to go back and watch High School Musical now because I can't help but imagine it as the prequel to his Ted Bundy movie. And so the entire time I'm just like, Vanessa, don't look into those gorgeous eyes. It's a trap. Having said that, though, I got to say, I'd definitely rather hang out with a ZAC before I spend any length of time with a guy who introduces himself as Zachary. That's a surefire sign that you're about to engage in a 30-minute conversation about someone's coin collection, or perhaps what are the best brands of plain flavored gum. So I'm from New Hampshire originally, but I live in DC now, though. And I got to say, coming down here was pretty devastating for me. I had to deal with this just crushing realization that I am nothing but a walking fucking stereotype. Not special, not unique, just a generic hipster B, as you can see. Even the shit that I thought made me really unique, for example, I'm dating a black woman in New Hampshire. That shit was cutting edge. People would literally come up to me on the sidewalk and be like, dude, you are fucking woke. Happens all the time, I swear. But I come to DC though and start noticing a bit of a trend. Not only am I seeing a lot of guys that look exactly like me, a lot of them are also with black women. Black women dating skinny bearded white dudes is a thing. I thought that was fucking my thing. I'll never forget the first time I actually saw another interracial couple in DC. I was like overjoyed. I couldn't contain myself. I went up to the guy and went, hey man, interracial couple, all right. This guy, a complete stranger, mind you, returns my high five. No hesitation. We both walk off with this smug sense of satisfaction that you can only find in the whitest of white men, thinking to ourselves, yes, solving racism with our dicks. White men saved the day again. My girlfriend's eyes rolled so far back in her head, I thought she was going to pass out. No, being with her has been awesome though. She's taught me so much about how the world works. Like when you meet a black dude for the first time, how do you combine a handshake, high five, and hug all in one smooth motion? My first attempts at it were rough, I'll admit. I'll give you the rundown. So I meet this guy, we exchange names. He brought his hand out here going for like the sideways high five. My stupid brain immediately goes, this guy's a hugger too. I go in for the hug, and as soon as my hands touch his shoulders, I immediately realize, oh my God, this man does not want to be touched. And I'm panicking inside. It's awkward. Instead of coming up with something useful, my brain goes for the European cheek kiss. Mwah! And you guys, we all know there's nothing a straight black man loves more than being kissed on the face by a white stranger with a penis. Being a white dude in black spaces is pretty fun, though. One of the things I like to do, just because I have the most fragile ego in America, is, just kind of hype myself up by impressing black strangers with my knowledge of black culture. Just kind of hit them at randomly. Like I'll be waiting in line for coffee and be like, oh my God, your sister locks are so gorgeous. Wow, your hair looks so moisturized. What's your texture? Are you a 4A, 4B? The best possible response you can get for that is an okay. Because they're saying like, all right, white boy, we see you, you're down, right? I cherish those moments. It's like a currency for me. In fact, if anyone's interested, after the show, we're launching a brand new crypto. It's called Woke Coin. It's sure to take off, I promise. But that does get me into some trouble every now and then. Just awkward situations. Like there was one time I was at a strip club for my brother's bachelor party. We're enjoying it. It's a good show. And then a stripper comes up to us, happened to be a black woman. And she says, hey, boys, anyone want to dance? Now, I never had a lap dance before. And, my girlfriend was actually going to buy me one while I was here in DC. But they're like $150 here. In Montreal, it's $10 per song. And of course, I didn't want to be rude. So I say, well, sure, why not? So yeah, she's leading me over to the private dance area. We're heading across the club. And the entire time I'm just fucking giddy with excitement, thinking about this inevitable moment where she's going to say, so first time with a black woman? And then I get to say, why no. In fact, I've lived with a black woman for the past 6 years and she's the absolute love of my life. And then she'll go, okay. And the value of woke coin is going straight to the fucking moon, right? Didn't exactly go down that way. She did ask, but the phrasing she went with was, so, is this your first taste of chocolate? Now the pressure's on me because I got to be cool, but I also still want to let her know I have a black girlfriend. Unfortunately, my brain betrays me once again. And the next words that come out of my mouth are, ma'am, you can call me Willy Wonka because I live at the chocolate factory. I'm fucking dead inside as soon as I say that, right? The value of woke coin is just like plummeting as I speak. But she's a professional. So she immediately follows that up with, does Mr. Wonka want some sugar? I'm fucking in it at this point, right? So I can't back down now. And so the next thing I say is, as long as it's natural, I don't like artificial sweeteners. apparently that was the right thing to say, because the next thing I know, she's topless, dancing real close to me. And, it's a fun time. I'm enjoying myself. I'm not there for fun, though. I'm there for business. Unfortunately, I can't come up with really anything clever to say. And so I just fucking blurted out like an idiot. My girlfriend is black. And she goes, okay. And I figured, probably about as good as I was going to get. But yeah, so we've been together for 6 years now. My girlfriend and I, not the stripper, thankfully. But we're finally at that point now where we're like starting to look for dogs, right? We're getting really excited about it. I haven't looked for a dog in a while, and I really didn't know how much had like changed about it. Like, I don't know if anyone's ever gone on Pet Finder, but you basically have to like scroll through social media accounts for dogs. And I can't think of a worse fucking idea. Like, social media is shitty enough for people. Like, what's going to happen when our dogs start doing the same thing? I think we're safe now because we're still in kind of like the MySpace phase, right? Like, it's still basically just photos, short description. But like, how long until dog Facebook comes along and they start spreading like bullshit conspiracy theories to your auntie or whatever? Got like a little fucking psychopathic chihuahua going, they're putting catnip in the rabies vaccine, man. They're trying to keep us docile. Or like, what if they get Instagram and they all start posting like these nasty photos where they're like looking back at the camera, showing us their assholes or something? I talk a little bit about what I think dog Tinder might look like, but I think Caroline put a hard stop on the bestiality content for tonight. And so I think I'm just going to call it there. Thanks, y'all.
Hey, going for Zach Kusan. Looks like my internet is sticking through it. Everybody, Zach said that he has the most, oh God, I think I forget. Man, I'm never doing it in this room. So we'll get there. Don't worry. You can hear me almost. I promise I'm here now. There we go. So sorry. This is the worst. I will never be in this room again. My apologies. Zach said he has the most fragile ego in America, but I don't know. I think it might be our next guest. Wait, oh shit. Will Purpura. Keep it going for
Hey. How's it going, everybody? Well, it's Mother's Day. So just to give you an idea of what it's like in my family, I forgot Mother's Day once in 2006. And now every time I get my mother something, she's like, oh, you remembered. Yeah, okay. Like I try to forget, like I'm reading this book, the self-help book, and they say the first step to, achieving success is forgiving your parents. Well, why don't you just shoot me right now? Because that's just not going to happen. My parents, they like, if you had a good relationship with them, that's great. Just keep it to yourself. Stay out of my sphere, my cone of positivity. I don't really need to hear about how you went on vacations and how they treated you with respect. I mean, my parents would never let me leave the house. I was always grounded. And then I like figured out later on, that's because they needed an excuse not to talk to each other. They needed me in the house at all times so they didn't have to deal with the silence. I slept in the same bed as my parents until I was 12 years old. And yeah, that was not by choice. That was my chore in the house. I had to be the meat in a sexless marriage sandwich. I slept right in the middle so they didn't have to look at each other. And how does that affect me as a grown man? I don't feel safe unless I have two full-size body pillows on either side of me with two angry faces painted on them. So I need that hostility in order for me to feel safe. So I do see a therapist right now online, and God, she was really listening to me intently, or at least I thought so. It turned out her video was frozen, but for a while there, it felt pretty. The thing is, I like venting to somebody who I know is clearly not listening. It really takes the pressure off. I don't have to lie. Let's see. Talking about jobs, my first job that I had, I was working at this cafe that actually was a front. They were selling cocaine in the back. And look, I'm no, what do you call it? Tim Ferriss. But I would tell you that is a business model I would highly recommend. Okay. You have like one person coming in for a latte and a lot of other people coming in for stuff that I'm not getting a tip about. And they fired me actually because I was too slow. I was like, yeah, for you. You're coked up all the time, okay? I'm like oblivious to that shit. I don't really understand. I don't like pick up on stuff. Uh, I'm a big fraidy cat too. I'm like scared all the time about stuff. Scared of unlikely things like planes. I'm scared of planes. And everybody goes, oh, but cars are so much safer. That how come I've never heard of snakes in a car? Then okay, that wouldn't even be a movie. It's like, all right, let's pull over. Just open up the window and throw it out. Okay, it's not a big deal. Let's see what else I got. Yeah, I'm terrified. I'm terrified all the time. My biggest number one fear of all time is murder. I don't want to be murdered. Keep that away. If you're thinking of murder, don't even think about it. But sometimes I'll Google things to calm my nerves, and they say, the suicide rate is actually double the homicide rate. So if there's anybody I go look out for, it's this guy, because it is. Okay, no, just joking. Kind of. I spent my 20s hating myself, and now I'm spending my 30s hating myself in my 20s. Like, I can't let that guy go. What do I got to do? And people go like, oh, if I had a time machine, I'd go back and kill Hitler. I'd kill me. I would find me and kill me. Look what you did. Look at this hairline. If you didn't wear those tight hats, I wouldn't have to be dealing with this. Why'd you have to act like you're so cool with the tight hats? Sweet sketches. Yeah, absolutely. I love the Miles Davis's autobiography is one of my favorite books. He was a lovely guy. My therapist asked me recently, do you love yourself? And it's like, whoa, pump the brakes. I'm just getting to know myself. Okay. We'll get there maybe in a couple of years after I'm like done processing some stuff. Cause that is like what this self-help book, like I read all these self-help books and I go, oh, that makes sense. And then I don't do anything about it. But they say, forgive your parents. Don't think so. Forgive the people in your life. I can do that. But then it says, forgive yourself. That's a big no-no for me. I don't think I'm going to be able to forgive myself. I don't know about that. They say God created the universe in 6 days. And I wish God would have taken a little more time, because this place sucks. And it just feels like God put this deadline on themselves. And, 6 days, gotta get it done. Don't let perfect get in the way of good. Let's get it in. And then like day 5 comes along and it's like, this shit makes no sense and everything's awful, but fuck it. I said tomorrow. Let's do tomorrow. I'm going to make the deadline. I'm going to do this to myself. And now we have to just like things don't make sense. It's like, why do I got to deal with bugs? And the people go, bugs eat things why couldn't they figure out a way to do it without bugs? Okay, why do I got to deal with bugs and snakes and things that crawl up your pant legs? People get killed by ticks. Nothing makes sense. Why can't it just be like, you get up in the morning and everything you eat for breakfast makes sense. You'd never gain any weight because the breakfast, come on, just like make everything perfect. Is that so much to ask? God damn it. Oh, I'm left to myself. Okay, no worries.
Oh, sorry.
Go back to talking about my dad. Okay, so look. Oh, what? What'd you say?
I thought you asked how much time you had.
Oh, how much time do I have? Don't worry about it. I don't like my dad. So that's the guy. I can't get over him because he's dead. So it's like, you got to forgive your dad, alive or dead. And it's like, how am I supposed to do that exactly? Aside from putting his ashes where I know he won't a very like a museum of modern art that would maybe be very conflicting to his sexual repression. Yes, that would be horrible for him. So I could put that 1 minute. All right, great. Because that wasn't something I wrote. One thing I like about my therapist is that they're a little inexperienced. So I like to fake breakthroughs to make them feel better about themselves. They'll go like, well, maybe your father was emotionally abusive. What? Oh my God. I never thought of it that way. 150 million times. Come on now. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Keep it going for Wilkesboro. Artistic director, the Laugh Index Theater, Comedy Theater, Lit Comedy, or managing director, actually. It doesn't matter. Titles don't mean anything, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to try something where I turn off my camera. I've just been staring at Mustache Rosenthal thinking he could just kick ass. And so I just want to do this is the inner monologue. Oh, these pansy ass little comedians. I could kick each and every one of their damn butts. That's what I'm imagining when I see. I just thought it was fun for me. I got to see inside the brain. I don't know what he actually sounds like. Maybe we'll find out one day. But right now, we're gonna find out what another man sounds like, and his name is Paul Mooney. Keep it going.
Yeah, I would guess. I guess anything, Dave's siblings would probably sound exactly like him since they were brought up in the same demographics, linguistic speech patterns and all of that. But anyways, I want to ask you guys a question. Have you guys heard about George Bush's new book?
Ooh.
So George Bush is going to publish a new book, and it's paintings of immigrants. And this confirms two things that I've suspected for a long time. The first is that no one remembers anything that George Bush did as president. People remember that he's president. They know that he's the president. But as far as decisions, what he wanted, groups that he preferred, no one remembers a goddamn single thing. But the second thing is that George Bush does not know how to read because he has only been communicating through pictures since he left office. This man ghost wrote one memoir and then he's just like, let me draw the pictures. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to do it. And here's the thing, I think I would be better off with a president becoming an artist if they indeed made a competent art. But here's the thing, this looks like worse than if you took a picture of someone and brought it to one of those shitty photo filters that makes it look like a painting and then printed it out and then turned it into a paint by numbers composition and then painted that painting. Even, I don't know if you guys can see this, but you can see the different layers bordering here. This isn't even in real time and I can already tell the painting errors that he has made in this artwork. Oh my God. This is honestly the worst thing that George Bush has ever done. And I am including the Iraq War and 9/11 in that. So here's the thing. Oh wait, hold on. Sorry, I wanted to show this again. The thing is, so George Bush did this interview with NPR about it, and I really want to show you my favorite paragraph. This is on a portrait of an Iraqi immigrant. Tony George Bush was an interpreter for my troops, and my view was if they helped their troops, they ought to be automatically given a green card, so he came to the United States, and now he lives in Houston. They asked him what he would go by. He said Tony George Bush, which of course wasn't his real name. He got Tony because the military people gave him the name Tony because he liked Frosted Flakes and he liked George Bush. So, because his life was changed in a positive way with the liberation of Iraq. And yeah, so he's there and he came to see me with his mom, which is very special. Now, here's the thing. Two things. One, it says a lot about George Bush that he can be responsible for the deaths of 300,000 people, but when he drifts to sleep at night, he's like, fuck yeah, Tony George Bush. Oh yeah, he lives in Houston now because his house exploded. That drives him. What does that say? I guarantee you that there's someone in the world whose name's some weird shit like Malala, Megatron, Jeffrey Epstein, but I don't think Malala is oh yeah, same name. Here's the other thing. George Bush is correct to be honored that someone has decided to name themselves after him. But when they also chose to name themselves after Tony the Tiger from Frosted Flakes, maybe you should consider their compliment a little bit less. Maybe you should bring into doubt their naming abilities. Also, how sketchy is this man that he doesn't just have his name from Iraq? This isn't Ellis Island anymore. You don't just get to change your name just by like, oh, what are you called now? You have legal papers for your country. If anyone comes in and the TSA is like, what is your name? And he's like, oh, Tony George Bush. We're like, his passport is fake. This interrogate him now. No one has that fucking name. Also, he named himself Tony. He didn't even name himself George. Like, he could have called himself, like, you know, George, Tony, whatever his last name was, but he needed to get rid of it, and then he was like, I gotta be George Bush, but I gotta be Tony first. I gotta respect my true influences, what really's got me. Okay, so I'm gonna move us on over. I'm gonna move us on over to the piano, and I'm gonna play us a song. I was... Okay, that's it. Thank you. I was making food for the one I love, and we were completely out of food, so I was making a total struggle meal. And while I was making our struggle meal, I composed this power ballad, this lovely power ballad that I'd like to sing for all of you about that experience. Okay. Wait, can you hear that, by the way? I should have checked that. Okay, good. That would have been awkward. Okay. Tuesday night, feeling in the mood, hoping things get smelly. What we got, loving is a cardio sport, so let's get some food in that belly. We've got no food for humans, except for one more can. So I'll heat you up its contents, 'cause I'm a loving man. So I made you this can of Bush's baked beans, just to show you that I love you. I also made this can of baked beans, 'cause I physically need to eat. Special kind of baked bean, baby, and you're that kind of girl. So I made you this can of Bush's baked beans, because you are my world.
Aww.
I forgot how the second verse starts, but I guarantee you the moment... Oh, no more interruptions. You had a face of disappointment I could never fake when you asked what kind of beans I was making, and then I said baked. I'm looking for my beans, Cinderella, and the slipper perfectly fits. Plus, we haven't bought any food for 2 weeks, so it's this or instant grits. Open the can, the opener is broken. I'll just use a hammer, my heart is awoken. Put it on the stove, I see a glimmer. Now let's take our love and these beans to a simmer. I made you a can of Bush's baked beans, just to show you that I love you. I made you this can of Bush's baked beans, just to show I care. There's a special kind of baked bean, baby, and you're that kind of girl. So I made you this can of Bush's baked beans, because you are my world. Yes, because you are my world. Now let's bang. Okay.
Woo! Yeah.
Keep it going for Paul Mooney, ladies and gentlemen. Anytime someone brings music in, gotta love it, and especially if they're bringing baked beans to the party. Okay, keeping the show going. Let's pop it on over to the one, the only, Max Rajan. Give it up for Max, everybody.
Thank you all for being here on this wonderful night. First off, Paul, I really hope that song was to a girlfriend and not your funny-looking dog. That would be difficult from a gastroenterological standpoint. All right, thank you all for watching. My name is Max. Those of you who are not tuned into my Twitter feed, I just turned 36, which is a problem because I am now gay. I'm not now gay, I was always gay, sometimes. And if you're not aware of gay culture, it's like being in an all-male production of Mean Girls on 3 vodka sodas. It's a little superficial. And so that's basically like being gay 65. At least that means at this point I get gay Medicare, which is a bottle of VCR head cleaner and lube. But, it's something. So I'm trying to get back into shape, which is a socially acceptable way of saying I realized I was a fat ass recently. Here's my tip to all you people thinking about losing weight. Google Nutrisystem. I do not, in fact, endorse this product, but their targeted advertising is degrading and relentless. They start every ad with a line of people that look and dress like your dad, and then out, "Hey, fatty, do you look like this? Are you unattractive and pathetic? Do you feel your youth crumbling before your eyes?" Honestly, I've lost 10 pounds just through watching YouTube. But I got a personal trainer. Like all of them, there's annoyingly handsome, fit 21-year-olds. There is something deeply emotionally upsetting about being asked by a Zoomer how my joints feel and if I need to slow down. Every session I am extremely close to just snapping at him that my joints have been through more than he has ever been. These joints have been through 9/11. These joints remember when the Simpsons were edgy. I want my gay Social Security. I recently texted him to confirm an appointment, and he responded with, "I'm Gucci." I don't know what the hell that means. I used to know what slang meant. But then I got old, and everything got claimed by corporations, and now I sound like the man. And I just want to take the wind out of every goddamn Zoomer sails and tell them that their slangs and memes may be ironic fun right now, but one day McDonald's is going to call their McRib based, and their H&R Block is going to say their competitors' transaction fees are cringe, and they'll live to see the commodified, and a 78-year-old oil executive is going to go up in front of Congress and tell them that only simps support the Green New Deal. And at that point, I really hope they realize that the only thing that escapes age is fucking capitalism. And at this point, I want to say that the only redeeming thing I can see about American society is that it has socialized the one utility we all goddamn need: porn. I will say that Pornhub is a weird application. Why do they have a like and share function? When I'm watching an 18-year-old twink getting railed by two black dudes in sailor hats, my first reaction is not, "Damn, my nana's gonna enjoy this jam." Maybe it's a straight people thing. I don't know. The fact that they have accounts kind of weirds me out too. I want to know what kind of metadata Pornhub is keeping on people. I want to believe that there is some guy with a tie and an office job in Ohio doing some sort of trend analysis on how much anal sex the Eastern Seaboard is watching. I want him to be printing out reports at a frenzied pace, running across an office saying, "Sir, the Q2 reports are in. It looks like the models are predicting fisting is going to be the big thing in 2022. Good God, release the Crisco ads." I think the worst thing about porn is the cleanup afterwards. Coming back to your computer and facing your own disgusting predilections sobers you up real quick. I just want to invent a program that realizes when you are watching porn, and then when you have not touched your mouse for a good 3 minutes, and changes it to a video of a Zoomer asking about your joint health. I'm clearly pro-masturbation. I think it's important and healthy for an adult to know what makes them happy. But apparently that is not a government stance, at least according to those fascists at Waimata who took away my Metro card. All right, that's been my time. Nice match.
Keep it going for Max Rajan, always reminding us what is great about this fine country of ours and what is tough about the medical industry. And, you know, he talked about socialized porn. And when I think socialized porn, I think first about Max Rajan, and then, of course, about our final comic for the evening, Mr. Dave Rosenthal. Give it up for Dave.
Just because that's because Julian knows. Hey, by the way, one of the people I invited tonight has their camera off, and I don't want to call him out in front of everybody. There you go. I love seeing your smiling face. Okay. Forget about what
I told I was going to be here.
Yes, you did. Okay, so forget about porn. I have a Facebook friend who knows I work for DC, as many of you know, and she read something about Congress and wanted to know if it was true. And by friend, I mean a girl I knew 45 years ago, who I only hung out with because she was older than me and had better pot. Well, that's not the only reason. She traded THC for TLC, if you know what I mean. Yup, it was a win-win. We each got what we craved. It was about a headline she saw, something like, Congress threatens to leave DC unless new buildings are built. She wanted to know where Congress would go. I think she read it in The Onion, and she believed it. She must still be smoking great shit. So I told her, that wasn't true. Congress wasn't moving out of DC because DC wouldn't build them new buildings. That's fucking ridiculous. They're going out of DC because they got to move to the Caymans to shelter all their insider tax shelters, whatever the fuck I meant. In any event, that she believed me was funny. Until you multiply gullible people like her by 14% of America and realize that's how we got QAnon. And for anyone who lives in a cave and doesn't know what QAnon is, it's a group that follows a guy named Q, who writes like far-right absurdist conspiracy theories. And I don't understand what the whole thing about not knowing who Q is. Any Star Trek fan could tell you. He's been on 4 fucking TV shows. And besides Picard, who listens to Q? Well, there's Roseanne Barr, who lost a TV show over racist tweets, and the governor of Texas, who believes the coronavirus is a hoax. Yup, now that the average daily death toll there dropped below that of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, merely 81 deaths a day, the governor decided to lift all their mask requirements. He was going to set it at the death rate of the Alamo, but nobody remembers the Alamo. And with no mask, he figured he'd double down and make all stores open. But thank God, not all Texas businesses are batshit crazy. Take Starbucks. They're willing to take a financial hit for their beliefs. No maskless people in their stores, like the Proud Boys would sidle up to the coffee bar and order a decaf mocha frappuccino, grande, with soy milk and sprinkles. How will they survive without their vanilla bean scones, pumpkin cream cheese muffins, and exclusive Michael Bublé CDs? No, honestly, this is a crappy idea. No one wants people with guns, lots of guns, to go through caffeine withdrawal. and become even more anxious, depressed, and irritable? Who wants Proud Boys with twitchy trigger fingers? I say, give them that cup of coffee and make it a venti. But don't add a shot of espresso. We don't want them jittery. And Starbucks isn't the only company that's trying to do the right thing. Dr. Seuss Enterprises announced that they were going to stop putting out $6 because they were wrong and hurtful. And I don't know how the people who brought us Green Eggs and Ham, The Cat in the Hat, and Dr. Seuss's ABCs are going to get by without such big sellers like On Beyond Zebra, The Cat's Quizzer, and Mr. McEllicott's Pool. Do you have a copy of those? No, you don't have a copy of those. That's because they suck. They were boring when you were 5 and thought chalk was exciting. Sticking googly eyes into Mr. Potato's ear was clever. And their thoughts were just hilarious. Well, you know, I wasn't going to say it, but I have a copy. And I'm going to hold on to it because it can only go up in value like Bitcoins, Tesla stock, and housing during the coronavirus. Now, actually, it's not true. If you want a copy, email me at Dave Rosenthal's Comedy at Gmail, and I'll send you a copy of it. Order before midnight tonight, and I'll send you Song of the South, 2 racist classics for the price of 1. And that's not all. If you like me on Lit Comedy's Facebook page, I'll send you, the fuck will I send you? I'll send you something else. I'll send you, I forgot what I was gonna send you. I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. I was going to send you Birth of a Nation, 3 hours movie classic about how after the Civil War, the KKK rose to the occasion and saved the South. No. Lit Comedy. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. I have to do this in my lawyer voice. Lit Comedy reminds you that investing in, I'm going to read this to make sure I have it right. Lit Comedy reminds you that investing in Dr. Seuss books is speculative and carries a high degree of risk. You may lose some or all of your investments. Do not buy if you suffer from a severe reaction to racism or its causes. And speaking of Mr. Potato Head, cutting out Mr. and Mrs. from their toy's name. Did you hear about this? Apparently they feel that advertising to just 2 genders is wrong. So instead of an LGBTQ line, they're just going to call it Potato Head. And, you know, doing that would be admirable if it wasn't that potato heads only come in brown. Now, potato skins come in white, yellow, and red. Remind you of anything? How about if we spell white with a capital W? So while they really want to, impress people with their, with how they feel about sexual orientation, they don't give a shit about kids sticking googly eyes into little brown heads. Heaven forbid they stick it to a white one. And I can't wait until they find out that potato head is actually a derogatory name for somebody with a funny sized head impairment. So without potato, they'll have to go down to their ads during Christmas and say, give head to a loved one. And then there's Warner Brothers, who's cutting out Pepe Le Pew cartoons after Pinky and the Brain's sexual harassment investigation confirmed that in every one of his cartoons, Pepe harassed a kitty. In response, Pepe tweeted, "It was fake news, and you can't believe the investigators, because though one of them's a genius, the other's insane. That's Pinky, Pinky and the Brain." It turns out Pinky harassed and chased after everyone who ever crossed his path. And when he caught up to them to play strip poker, when he didn't catch up to them to play strip poker, that was Governor Cuomo. Oh shit, I always confuse those two because they both stink. At least Pepe never lied about deaths in nursing homes. He just chased after kiddies who had paint down their backs. It's not like he gave them preferential testing for the coronavirus. What bozo would do that? Well, taking its lead from Pinky and the Brain, the FBI is investigating whether Cuomo, who was that bozo, also undercounted COVID-related nursing home deaths. And then the state assembly hired a law firm to help in its impeachment probe. And don't you think it's just fitting that Cuomo get probed for a change? Turns out, like the Alamo, these women do remember. When they were younger, some of them were resigned to their fate. Now that they're older, they'd all like their fate to resign, or at least Cuomo's fate to resign, if not to go to prison. Au revoir, Cuomo le Pew.
He's going for Dave Rosenthal. That is his real email. I will use it when reporting him to Homeland Security for having all those books and movies we shouldn't have. With that, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show. Thank you so much for coming. We're here every second Wednesday of the month. And on other Wednesdays, you can find improv, you can find sketch, you can find all sorts of things. Next month, we got the Laugh Index Theater Comedy Festival. So you have a lot of longer sets from these people and other stuff. And anyway, that's all. Get out of here. Go enjoy your night or do whatever you do. Bye-bye. We're going to start kicking you out if you don't leave.